Hello and welcome to Lord Fenton Gaming Plays Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. I'm your host Lord Fenton. In this Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake video guide, I'm going to show everybody on how to build the perfect party for this game. As always, everyone like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more Dragon Quest series guides like this. Do not forget that notification bell so be updated much more. So, what is this video guide all about for Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake? Well, we're going to build the perfect party from start to finish. That's from the start of the story until that one point, that's a turning point, until the story ends, and then, of course, post-game itself. We'll start out with the first three party members we build, then the fourth party member. This way we finish that up. Also, this video guide, I'll show you on how to level up, when to level up, what equipment you need, how to survive the fourth and fifth trials, and last but not least, I'll even toss in a conversion chart of the other versions of Dragon Quest III. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the next thing. Gender. Does it really matter for this build? As for a character's gender, well, I'm going to be honest. This is mainly suited for female party members. However, you could do male if you want to. Just that you will miss out on some things, like, for example, the shimmering dress, the bikinis that are very good, and some female exclusive items only. That's the only thing you'll definitely miss out on. So let's go ahead and talk about the next section. Oh, by the way, say bye-bye to Barmos, which is how does this hero fit into all of this? So what about the hero? How does the hero fit into this perfect party system? I'm going to be honest with you. The hero is great until, of course, you get the bird to get to Barmos's castle. Yeah, that's right, his dungeon. So once you, of course, get the ability to fly, you get to grind some EXP in better places, and you switch out your party members' classes like crazy. Then the hero's luster will start to fade like crazy, to the fact that the other party members will start to do more damage, start to cast a better variety of spells, use abilities that the hero cannot use. Now, once post-game happens, yeah, then the hero has to go, and you put your fourth party member into the last slot, since you're allowed to do that in post-game. Now, in the next section I'm going to go ahead and cover is personality, which I felt like that's best for this build, so here we go. Now, before I do create the party members, I'm going to go over personalities. So, which personalities you definitely want. I narrowed it down to 2. Now, first of all, it's Tough Cookie, give you great stamina and resilience. That means great defense and also a lot of hit points as well, too. And yeah, you get a lot more hit points when you do level up, which is very helpful. Only on the downside, it's just bad luck. Everything else is average. Strength tends to go up there a bit more, which is good as well. Now, the other personalities is Vamp female only. This will give you great agility and luck, and of course, your stats will be balanced. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say personality is great for now until you get to the Thieves phase, or I say, which is before the final dungeon of the story. Then you go ahead and go farm some seeds, or go farm in post-game. Then personalities really won't matter much because you're going to really aim to max some stats out and such. So I'm going to go over the first party member, which is the Sage. So here we go. So everyone, we're going to go over the Sage class. That is the first party member. We're going to go over that. So the Sage class is like this. For the most part, they're going to put your foes to sleep. So this way, your other party members could do a lot more damage. Your Sage class can also do some damage if your opponent's already asleep from the previous round. So they'll do some nice DPS as well too. So they're basically like the setup person there. Now your Sage will start out a bit different until a certain point. And then once they do have the ability to put your foes to sleep, then they'll do a lot more damage. Now, when you're, of course, doing through the story, good idea to have the heroes want to put your opponents to sleep, then have the Sage go DPSing until post-game. Then the Sage will be the person that'll put your enemies to sleep. So let's go over the leveling up scheme and the class change scheme of the Sage. Now, the first class you want to create for the Sage is simply the Martial Artist. You're saying, why is that, Fenton? Well, here's the deal. Mariah, for instance, will go ahead and start with the Martial Arts to get all the abilities. They'll be your DPS for your party, along with your hero, until, of course, you get the bird. Once you get the bird and you're ready to go to Barmos's lair, then, of course, things will definitely change up a bit. Well, quite a bit, I will definitely say. So what I'm going to go ahead and do at this time is show you what suggested skills you're going to aim to level up for. My advice is go through all the levels until you get all the skills for each class, and then, of course, do some class changes. Now, one more thing. Mariah's going to be a sage twice. You're saying, why is that? First time to get all the spells, second time to permanently lock in that class. So here's all the suggested martial arts abilities you definitely want to strive for. Now, let's go over the martial arts abilities. I select 3. I advise definitely getting to level 47, 48 to get critical claim. But anyways, here we go. Hawkeye Claw, level 13 attack that never misses a target, even if you're dazzled. This is actually great for 2 fronts. Number 1, if you're dazzled, you get to hit your targets, normal damage a little bit more. Or number 2, if you're firing, for instance, metal slimes or liquid metal slimes. So yeah, this is one of those you definitely want. Now, next up is Multi-Fist. This is a level 30 attack that hits targets randomly. Can hit up to 4 times or so. Great way to finish off single targets. Now, last but not least, I like this one the best for the martial artist, Critical Claim. This is a level 47 to 48 attack that can always does a critical hit. Now, this is absolutely wonderful on one front mainly. When you're grinding your party members, you're going to farm, I should say, metal slimes or definitely liquid metal slimes. What you do is you pop this sucker, even if you're faster than the metal slimes or liquid metal slimes, you can always one-shot them. You get easy EXP this way. This will help you grind out your characters much more quicker and much more efficiently. So let's go over the next class and its abilities. Once you do get your martial artist up to level 47 or 48, because critical claim, well, you're about to become the gadabout, aka the goof off class. Now, normally the goof off class, you just want 20 levels. However, good idea to just go through suffering, get to 45 levels due to the fact there's a nice caster ability if you want to go a little bit offensive, if you want to go that route. So anyways, I'm going to go over the gadabout skills and put a few suggestions there. Here we go. For the gadabout abilities, I limited it down to 2 and also listed a special condition for this class. So here we go. Whistle, this is a level 13 skill that calls monsters to fight you in combat. Great, I do mean great farming ability. What you do is you whistle, you hope for a certain type of monster to defeat. If you're definitely doing seed farming, which we'll cover later on in this guide, or if you're farming, like for example, the metal creatures, like the metal slime or liquid metal slimes at a certain location, well, you get the whistle for them as well. Another one that is good if you want to go this route is Channel Anger, level 45 skill that can double your magic damage. So if you're more into using magic, this is great. I'm going to be honest. Magic kind of wears out once you definitely get to Barmos, but still, if you want to go that route, that is fine as well too. Here's the special condition about this class. This class can change it to a sage at level 20 without the Words of Wisdom item. So if you're above level 20, you get to go ahead and become a sage, which is our plan actually. So that is about it for the gadabout class. So let's go over to the next one. After suffering through, yes, I'm saying it, suffering through 45 levels for the gadabout class, we're about to become sages. You're saying, why is that? Well, for this part of the build for the sage, for the first time, we're actually going to go ahead and become a sage just to get all the spells. You're wondering about that? Well, there you go. We get all the spells, including the snooze spell, which is going to be very important, I say definitely post-game. So let's go over the sage spells I'm going to list. I'm going to go ahead and just list general ones. Also, I'll just point out about a few spells as well too. Here is the wonderful thing about the sage class. They get all the spells from the mage and priest trees. So in other words, they get both those classes spells all at once. That's why they're powerful and have a higher requirement than the others and cannot be a sage at the start of the game. So here we go. All the ice, wind, and fire spells. So all the offensive spells you'll get. Most of the healing spells. No full heal for all party member spells at once since the hero gets that. That's the exchange. Now they all get the revive spells. That's important though. I use that quite a bit for Mariah to revive a few people. Now another thing is this is important for the Sage. Snooze. Snooze does this. Puts groups of foes to sleep. This is really useful because there's a certain thief's ability I'll go over that is really OP as heck. Another one I use for farming these metal slimes and liquid metal slimes is the puff spell. Transforms into a dragon on the 1 round. If they're still around, they get burned to a crisp in round 2. Instant death for those type of creatures. That's it for this class. Let's go over the next one. Now, here's the deal, everyone. So we're done with the Sage class, so we got enough wisdom there. It'll be cut in half, but it'll be good wisdom for leveling up. And also some nice luck, too. So what we're going to go ahead and do is change from the Sage to the Warrior for the Sage. You're saying, why become a Warrior? Well, we're going to get some nice abilities out of it that'll help us out on grinding and anything else we need to do as well. So let's go over all the Warrior abilities. I'm going to pick some suggestions out of it. Now, I decided to list the top 3 skills on my mind for the Warrior class. So here we go for their abilities. Mercurial Thrust, level 9 skill that always attack first. So if there's a certain foe that has low hit points, they're about to die, especially metal slimes or liquid metal slimes, this is the way to go. It always attacks first before the other foe's agility. Many foes does this in battle too, so you're wondering why they attack first, even if you have 999 agility, very high agility. Now, next up is Pressure Pointer. Level 21 skill that tries to take out a foe in 1 shot. Instant death kill them. Really useful for metal slimes and liquid metal slimes until you get critical claim. So this does not work, but think of it as a poison needle though. Last but not least is Cutting Edge. Level 48 skill that can do very high damage. This is absolutely great. You could do a lot of damage. And if you want to get some DPS in, this is the way to go. So let's go over the next class. Next up for the Sage to class change into, believe it or not, is the Merchant class. Now, the Merchant class has a few skills I'll point out. They're more like helpful skills for 2 of them. 1 of them, however, is very useful. Yet, you're going to need a lot of gold for it. I am dead serious. You need tons of gold. So let's go over the abilities of the Merchant class. Here are the Merchant abilities. I decided to pick 3. I felt like that's the best. Dig, level 12 skill that can dig up items outside of combat, random items and such. I heard some good things from it. If you want to keep on using it, that is good. I also heard people made a lot of gold from this as well too. Next up is Service Call. This is 1 broken skill outside the world map. So you go on the world map and this is what it does. This level 17 skill can either call the following: a shop you previously visit, a priest, or bury it in. Yes, you can rest up outside the world thanks to this skill. It's really broken. It's really OP'd. Now, last but not least is Call to Arms. This is a level 36 skill that can do damage to many foes. That is 50 GP times your current level. So if you're, for example, level 50, you times level 50 times 50 GP. This will cost gold, but you do a lot of damage. So let's get to the next class. The last class for the Sage during this phase is the Monster Wrangler class. So for the Sage, the Monster Wrangler class is really useful. It has so many tools in the tool chest, and it goes off of 2 things. Number 1, you level up like normal, you get skills, and number 2 is depends on how many monsters you get. So if you get, like, for example, 100 out of 121 friendly monsters, what happens is you get all the skills in the game for that Monster Wrangler. And believe me, so if you get 100 and then you make a 4th character, they also get the benefits from that as well too. So let's go over the Monster Wrangler abilities. There's a lot of them. Go ahead and go through. I decided to level this down to 4. Now, the only one I like for the leveling up is the Animal Instinct. This is a level 10 skill that can tell you in the zone if a friendly monster is around. Very useful because you're going to need a lot of monsters in order to use these Monster Wrangler abilities. More friendly monsters, more damage you get to do some stuff with, like for example with Monster Pylon. Speaking about Monster Pylon, here's what this does. First of all, you gotta find 10 friendly monsters for this skill. This skill will attack all foes. It's random, however, damage based on how many friendly monsters you have. More friendly monsters you get, more damage you do. This is one broken ability. I used it in the start of the video just to demonstrate how wrong it is, how right it is for you. Now here's another one that is definitely broken. Wild Side. You find 50 friendly monsters for this skill. Once you have that, this is what it does. Can make you use the same skill twice a round. So for instance, you could do Wild Side one round, then use Monster Pylon for the next round. You do that twice. And if you're the stage, for example, with this section, you use Wild Side, then you cast Snooze twice. Unless you have the Duplistic Helm on, or Duplistic Hat they call it, then you cast Snooze 4 times due to the fact that you cast without Wild Side the same spell twice. And it's very wrong. It's very great. You should always cast it in the first round. Now this one's great. This is like an oh crap button. Fog of War. Find friendly monsters when it's at 100. So you get 100 friendly monsters. And this does this cancel spells for all in battle for 3 rounds. So if you have some foes that likes to cast nukes and such, pop Fog of War down. Then you'll have to use healing items to heal your characters up. However, your enemies cannot use spells at all. Now, this is it for this class. We're going to go over the next section. Now, for the Sage, this is Phase 3. This plays into 2 folds. So, the first fold is when your Monster Wrangler is level 44. I got her to level 45. And, of course, 100 friendly monsters collected. So, basically, I got all the skills for the Monster Wrangler. Now, this is great because we're changing to the Thief. We're actually going to be using the Thief quite a bit. First of all, to beat the last dungeon, since the Thief has some skills that are wrong and can destroy everything in sight. And also, another thing is for seed farming. Yeah, so basically this is like the seed farming phase after the story, because we'll start building up some stats for everybody. So this way, when they class change, they get less than the penalty blow, which is very good. So I'm going to go over the Thief skill, and then I'm going to go over some mathematics with a certain Thief skill that is very OP'd and the best in the game for everybody to use, except for the hero course. Unfortunately, they cannot use that. So let's do this now. So I'm going to go over the Thief's abilities. I felt like that's the best, the top 3. Nose for treasure. Now that's a level 13 skill that can tell you how many treasures is in a zone. Really useful, so this way you get that out of the way. Snoop, level 20 spell that can show sparkling items on the ground. So if you look for mini mills that are hard to find, pop this sucker. Honorable mention is Sleep Slap. That'll put a foe to sleep. Also, there's Confuse ability to confuse enemies. Why I'm mentioning that, well, is this one. Persecutter. Now, this is a level 29 skill that can do normal damage unless your target is A, asleep or confused, then it does 6 times the damage. This takes out many bosses. In fact, I went through Zoma's Lair with 3 thieves and a hero, and let me tell you, those bosses got torn up. Same thing at the post-game bosses as well too. Now for this phase, for everyone, try to get level 99 to be able to steal seeds better. So every 16 levels, you be able to get a thieving point. And of course, that is very helpful when you're farming seeds. That's it for the Thieves class. Let's go over the last class for this character. When you are done with seed farming at the start of post-game, and you have enough stats you feel that you can carry you through the post-game dungeons, well, guess what? It's time to change from the Thieves class back to the Sage class. So this is the last transformation for the Sage class. Now, this time around, we already learned all the spells and abilities for the Sage class. So basically, what we're doing is empowering our Sage, setting up the Sage to be our support, I should say more like debuffer, aka putting your foes to sleep, and then just letting loose the DPS after if foes are still asleep. If not, they'll constantly put them to sleep. Now, at this point, you should have a Duplistic Hat. Now, equip that on your Sage. At this time, what this does is it makes news. You'll be able to use 2 times per battle. If you have Wild Side, it'll be 4 times per battle. So you'll basically be one powerful character. And if your foes are asleep, In the next round, they could do DPS as well. So we're going to go over the Sage's equipment, so let's go do that now. It's time to go over the Sage's equipment, so here we go for each. The Falcon Blade, it attacks 2 times per round, does less damage, but if you have cap out strength like I have, it does a lot of damage. Twice. Very useful with that Thief's ability that does 6 times damage against sleeping foes. God's Shield, it protects you against ice and of course fire. You get that from email rewards or the Temple of Trials, I think Trial 5. The Duplicit Hat, you get that from Temple of Trials 4 or is found in the Underworld. This allows you to cast a spell twice per round. With Wild Side, spells will be 4 times per round. Godbird Armor, this is one OP armor to have. It will protect you against debuffs like for example being silenced and such. As for of course accessories, go with the Holy Talisman. The effect you'll be basically immune to death effects and abilities. And for the Sage, the Meteorite Bracer, does is this. It doubles your agility, so this way we're going to make sure the Sage goes first 9 out of 10 times. That's it for the Sage. Let's get to the next party member. Now, the next perfect party member is the Martial Artist. Usually martial artists are great at the start of the game and the end. They taper off in the middle, but they recover at the end. And of course, they're also great with agility at times as well. Yeah, they could also do critical hits, which is very good for normal attacks or certain attacks like the Thief's ability, which will help us out big time. Now, this will be different than the Sage due to the fact we're going through each of the classes only once. That's right, just this once. So what we're going to go ahead and do at this time is go ahead and, of course, go with the Priest class. Oh, yeah, by the way, enjoy the martial arts. My party doing some nice damage ×2. For the martial artists, what we're going to go ahead and do is start them out as a priest. So they're going to become healers through this first phase until we get the bird. Once we get the bird, we're going to do some serious class changes. So definitely making sure you get used to playing a healer for the martial artist until that appropriate time. So I'm going to go over the spells that I suggested for the priest class. There's some good ones, so here we go. Now, for the priest class, you will definitely get all the wind spells. That's very important. Another thing is they get most of the healing spells once again. Just like the Sage class, they don't get the all heal party members one. That's the hero that get that. They also get all revive spells, which is useful. Again, the priest spells, they get snooze, which is great. Now, I used it on the Sage. That is good. Now, your I say martial arts makes a good backup for snooze in case you guessed it, your Sage goes down or something. And I did add Blasto. This can blast away foes in combat. Very useful spell indeed. In fact, it's used on a certain dungeon twice. I definitely advise using it with the Sage as well too. Now let's go over the next phase for the martial artists. So once you do get all the priest's spells for the martial artist, we're going to go ahead and switch the martial artist from the priest to the mage. Yeah, we're going to get all the mage's spell. This is just like the other party member. Instead of we're doing the other role now. So I'm going to go ahead, of course, show you all the suggested mage's spells. Here we go, everyone. Now, for the mage, you get all the ice and fire spells. You get Puff, which transfers you into a dragon. 1 round, you're a dragon. Another round, you're burning everything in sight. Very useful against metal slimes and liquid metal slimes, like I mentioned. Also, any debuffs you have, go ahead and abuse it. If there's any buffs, go ahead and do that as well. And also, honorable mention, if I remember right, you have the Peep spell. What the Peep spell does is Peep's treasure chests. Red means danger, blue means it's okay to open it up. So let's go over the martial artist next class, which is the merchant class. So after you become the mage, got all their spells, we're going to do the merchant class. This is exactly the same as the Sage. Same stuff you get. You want, of course, this character to have it. In fact, during the grinding phase, I was actually using the martial artist to be the one to call service, which was very useful when I have to, of course, grind. So I use call service, and what happens is everybody got healed up, and then we resume grinding. So this is the main reason why we're doing it, but still we're getting all these skills and abilities for the merchant class. Let's go over those for the martial artists. Now, this is exactly same like the Sage for the Merchant class. For the Martial Artist, they also get his Dig. Again, level 12 skill, dig up randomly items, which can be good or bad. Now, Service Call, this is a good skill. Like I mentioned before, you get a priest, an inn, or a shop you previously visit. Now, a good idea with that, as I didn't mention, is visit a shop that you're aiming to farm items for or to buy. And then if you have enough gold, you call service. Also used in as well. Very abusive. Now, Call to Arms, that's a level 36 skill I mentioned before, same for the Sage. Now it calls many foes, that's 50 gold times your current level. Higher your character levels are, more damage it does. So that's basically it for the Merchant class for the Martial Artist. We're going to go over the Warrior class. Now, next up after the Merchant class, we're changing into the Warrior. Warrior's going to start to do a lot of damage. That's going to help us out with the Martial Artist build, which is great. So we get all the warrior skills, so this way we start building a resume on our DPS for this character. So I'm going to go over all the warrior skills, what it benefits for the martial artists. Now for the warrior skills that fits great with the martial artist we're building up. Mercurial Thrust, that's a level 9 skill, like I said before, always attacks first. So if like I said before, a foe's about being near death, go ahead and pop this sucker, they die. Pressure Pointer, this will instantly kill foes sometimes, like a poison needle. Now, it will miss. That's the difference there. However, if you're really desperate and you don't have a clear critical claim, then you pop this sucker and hope for the best. Now, next up is Cutting Edge. This is great for the Warrior class. Does very high damage. You don't have the Thief's ability yet. This is one of the go-to abilities to use and abuse. Now, that's it for the Warrior for the Martial Artist. Next up is the Gadabout. Yes, we're going to do the Gadabout for this character. Now, the difference for the Gadabout for the Sage versus the Martial Artist is we're not going to become a Sage this time because we already got the Priest and we already got the Mage. That's enough there. We're just going to go ahead and get the skill, especially Whistle, in case I want to change it up a bit on that. So anyways, we'll just get the Gadabout for the stats against, which is basically really just luck. So let's go over the Gadabout skills and abilities. Here's the skills for the Gadabout. So let's go over Whistle. Like I mentioned for the Sage, this Whistle will call monsters instantly into combat. Same thing will happen with the Martial Artist. It's good. Channel Anger, if you decide to go Caster Happy, it's a level 45 skill that doubles your magic damage. Now that's also good until you probably get to Barmos's lair in some parts, and yeah, magic start to taper off in this version of Dragon Quest III. Now, here's the difference here. I'm not going to do the class change at all. I'm going through all 45 levels for the martial arts, get all the skills. And that's about it. We're going to talk about the Monster Wrangler next. Now, next up, we're going to go ahead and go over at this very moment is the Monster Wrangler. So we want to make sure at the end of this phase, after we do so many class changes, we get to the Monster Wrangler. Monster Wrangler, like I mentioned before for the Sage, has very powerful abilities when you level up, and also collecting monsters too. So when you collect a certain amount of monsters, you get certain abilities. Well, when you do get to Barmos's lair, you should have Wild Side and Monster Pylon. This is your bread and butter for DPSing through that lair, and even the boss fight as well, as you see at the very beginning of the video. Let's go over the Monster Wrangler abilities and such. Now, next up is the Monster Wrangler abilities. I'll add my 2 cents with the Martial Artist. Ammo Instinct, so this is a level 10 skill. Now, this does find friendly monsters in the area, useful for getting additional Monster Wrangler skills, more friendly monsters you have. And also helps with Monster Pylon DPS. Speaking of Monster Pylon, let's talk about that. So what this does is if you find 10 friendly monsters for this skill, you get it. Now, this skill will attack all foes randomly. It's damage based on how many friendly monsters you have. So, more friendly monsters you find in tens, the much more damage it does. Now, for the martial artist, this will be very useful from you guessed at Barmos's lair until you're about to go ahead and start. You guessed at the final story dungeon. Now, there's one boss in the final story dungeon is immune to magic, so definitely want to use that. Wild Side, 50 friendly monsters you have. You get the skill upon winning a battle. This makes you use the same skill twice. Now, this is very useful for the martial artist for using the Thief's ability that does 6 times damage against sleeping foes or confused foes, or if you're using Monster Pylon twice. Yeah, that'll be 2 times with that, thanks to Wild Side. Fog of War, find 100 friendly monsters, so you find the 100th one. That's the last skill for the Monster Wrangler to get. And it's very powerful. Cancel spells for all in battle for 3 rounds. There's capture heavy foes that love to use Kaboom or something like that. Pop the sucker. And if you beat them to it, they can't cast magic. Then you just beat them up with something like, for example, Monster Pylon. That's about it for the Monster Wrangler class for the martial artists. We're going to go ahead and talk about the next phase for the martial artists. Now, for this phase 3 for the martial artists, just like the Sage, you become thieves. Now, at this point, you want to definitely start this before you enter the last story dungeon. So when you're ready to enter the last story dungeon, yeah, make sure everybody's a thief in your party except for your main character. So once post-game starts, then you kick out your main character for the 4th party member. So basically, during these 2 phases, you're beating the game, number 1, and number 2, once again, you're farming seeds for the post-game dungeons. So let's go over the Thief's abilities. Here are the Thief's abilities. Again, I'm going to inject this for the martial artist. Nose for treasure, level 13 skill that could tell you how many treasures in the zone. Very useful for picking which treasures are there, and if you use the peep spell, which one to avoid. Stoop, level 20 ability that can show sparkly items on the ground. Again, mini mails or anything else like loot. Now, this ability, Persecutter, or Persecutter, they call it. Level 29 skill that can do normal damage unless your target is asleep or confused and does 6 times the damage. Now, for the martial artist, it is very OP to use. And yes, you can use it even when you're a martial artist class. And believe me, it's really useful. Downside of that is you're not going to get the Falcon Blade. You got claws, though, which is good. And yes, you can do critical hits with that. Once again, try to get to level 99 during this phase to steal some seeds. Actually, your first 3 party members you create should be at level 99. And that's about it for the martial artists in this phase. Let's go over the final phase. So, once you get all the proper stats for starting up the post-game dungeons, then you're ready to change the martial artist from the thief to the martial artist class. Yes, the final class change. So this will be the class you'll be using for post-game. You'll be very powerful at this point. You're going to be wrecking everything in sight. So let's go over the martial artist skills, I suggest. And yeah, you'll be leveling up the martial arts all the way through. So here we go. Now, next up is, of course, the martial arts abilities. Hawkeye Claw, you never miss. This is great for martial artists when they're leveling up, starting out early. Multi-Fist, this will hit targets randomly up to 4 times. Also, if it's single target, 4 times against those. Good to have. Critical Claim. Now, this will always do critical hit. Very powerful. Great for farming. So, if you're farming for seeds or farming for EXP in this phase, yeah, well, guess what? So, you go first against Liquid Metal Slime since your agility should be high thanks to seed farming. What happens is you always do a critical hit. 4 party members do that. Then you get a lot of EXP and leveling goes a lot quicker. And that's about it for the martial artist in this class. Let's go over the martial artist final gear. Now for the martial artist, here's the best equipment. The all column claws, you get that for turning in all 121 monsters. If you can't get it, so for the beast claws that you get from Thadon post game when you start the reel with that. Tempest shield's good. You know, there's quite a few around during the story. Star Circlet, you get that at the Cloud Gate Citadel. Yeah, it sells there. Exotic Toga. So what this does is a very powerful Toga. Great for martial artists to have. It protects against some debuffs and such. So you get that by turning in all 110 mini medals. As before, just like the stage, go for Holy Talisman. For the other equipment, go for either A, anti-freeze earrings, or B, the anti-fire ones. So that's about it for the martial artist gear. Now next up is the warrior. Now, for the next class we're going to go over is the warrior. So this is going to be the 3rd party member that we do create when we start out. They're going to start out for the warrior as a mage. Then, of course, they'll go from the mage class to the priest class, just like the priest path. It's going to be the same everywhere else. And then they become monster wranglers eventually before face off against Baramos. Then, of course, there'll be a thief when they're ready to face against the final boss of the story. Then after that, they become the warrior. So they're going to be very powerful, definitely from the start, spellcaster-wise. Then they'll change it up, become very powerful melee-wise towards the end of the game. So let's go ahead and go over the mage for the warrior. When we create our third and final party member for this story, don't worry, we're creating the fourth one during post-game. We're going to go ahead and start this party member out as a mage. So we'll go through at least all 40 levels to get all the spells for the mage. So this way, they'll have all the mage spells for force class changing into the priest when phase 2 happens. So phase 1, get used to casting A, offensive spells, or B, debuffing your foes, or C, buffing up your party members. So just remember that. So let's go over the mage's spells for the warrior. Now, for the mage spells, let's go over some. Now, the mage, they get ice and fire. For the warrior, that'll be very useful to clear a whole bunch of foes when you start out in phase 1. Now, puff transforms into a dragon, so when you start, of course, doing the farming phase to get from phase 1 and 2, that'll help out big time because one round, you become a dragon. Round 2, any liquid metal slimes and or metal slimes are there by round 2, and they still stay. They get burnt to a crisp, and you get free EXP. As always, I said before, on the martial arts, any debuffs helps as well too. Same thing as buffs too. And that's about it for phase 1. So let's go over the warrior's role for phase 2 and its class changes for that as well. Once the warrior gets to phase 2, that's when you get the bird. Before you go into Barmos's lair, you want to start leveling up a bunch of classes, doing a lot of class changes. So first thing we're going to go ahead and do for the warrior is change it from the mage to the priest. Yes, we're doing the priest class to get all the priest spells in the entire game. So let's go over the spells for the priest. Now, here's the priest spell for the warrior. You get all the wind spells, very useful. Most healing spells, except for Omni Heal, that heals everybody for full health. All revive spells, very useful for that, including Kazing. You get this new spell, which puts a group of foes to sleep. Very useful against most bosses, except for bosses and monsters that are immune to magic. And again, I'd like to mention Blasto, blast away foes. This entire party will all get that. It's used, in fact, in 2 trials, in the Temple of Trials. That's it for the priest class. We're going to go ahead and go over the merchant class next for the warrior. After we're done with the warrior with the priest class, we have all the spells in the entire game except for the thief's snoop spell. So we're going to go ahead and change into the merchant class next. Again, we're only getting a few of the merchant skills. So yeah, get all the merchant skills and such. So this way you're done with this class. It's not too hard to level up. In fact, it's in the mid to late 30s. So this way you change afterwards. So let's go over the merchant abilities. Here's the merchant abilities. Now dig. You dig up items randomly. It could be good, could be bad. It's just there. Some people I heard made a lot of gold just by digging. Service call. This skill will call a shop you previously visited in case you want to buy and sell something. Priest in case you need help with revives and such. Or inn. So this way, if you're farming, you get to rest up your MP and HP if you're close to 0. It's very good service, and you use this like crazy during farming. Call to Arms is a skill that does damage to many foes. Damage based on 50 gold pieces times your current level. Higher your character level is, more damage you do. That's about it for the merchant class. Let's go over the martial artist for the warrior. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is go over the martial artist. So from the merchant, we'll become martial artist. We'll definitely get that one ability. It'll be very useful for farming. So for the warrior, let's go over the martial artist abilities and such. Here are the martial artist abilities. Hawkeye Claw, you never miss. Great for the warrior. So if you're farming, like for example, early on in the game of metal slimes, yeah, good to use. Multi-fist, attacks targets randomly up to 4 times. If it's against a boss, they get 4 times the damage. So yeah, they get hit. Critical Claim, this will always do critical hits. Excellent for farming metal slimes and definitely liquid metal slimes. So if all 4 party members, for instance, post-game gets, of course, high agility and they go first, critical claim on liquid metal slimes, they all die, you level up a lot quicker. And that's about it for the martial artist. For the next class the warrior has to change into is you guessed it, the gadabout class. Now we're going to go ahead and at this very time change class from the martial artist to the gadabout. Yeah, we're going to be suffering with this character as well too. We're getting all the abilities from the gadabout class. So let's go over that for the warrior. Here are all the abilities for the gadabout class. Now whistle, that does is called monsters to fight for you in combat. Great for farming. Wonderful for the warrior too, because the warrior is going to need to leveling up in this class and fast. Channel Anger, level 45 skill, that could double your magic damage, so if you're into that, that's fine. I'm not going to change in the stage with this class, but still, that's about it for the gadabout. So for the next class the warrior's going to change into is the Monster Wrangler. Now for the next class for the warrior to be in this phase is the Monster Wrangler. Again, the Monster Wrangler, like I said, with the other two party members, very useful to get the skills. More monsters you collect, more skills you unlock, and more good things you get to do with your Monster Wrangler skills and such. Yeah, this will carry you through this part of the game until you are about to start the, I should say, last story game dungeon. So let's go over the Monster Wrangler stuff. Now, for the Monster Wrangler's abilities, here we go. Animal Instinct for the warrior. When they're Monster Wranglers, this will tell you if there's friendly monsters in the area. More friendly monsters you collect, more better it is. Monster Pylon, you find 10 friendly monsters in order to get this skill. Skill attacks all foes. Damage bases on how many friendly monsters you have total. Great for the warrior. In fact, you'll be using that quite a bit during this phase. Wild Side, you find 50 friendly monsters. You get this skill. Now, this does is makes you use the same skill twice in combat. For instance, you use Wild Side one round, next round you use Monster Pylon, or if you get the Thief's ability that does 6 times damage against sleeping foes, you do that twice. For the warrior, that's a lot of DPS. You also do Cutting Edge with that as well too. Last but not least, Fog of War. You find 100 friendly monsters to get this. Cancel all spells in battle for 3 rounds. Very useful in case you're facing against annoying spellcasters. Then you use Monster Pylon or other abilities to win. That is it for the Monster Wrangler class. So let's go over the next phase for the warrior. After, of course, you level up the Monster Wrangler and went through the story up to the point you're about to raid the last story dungeon and defeat the final boss of the story, you're in phase 3 for the warrior. For the warrior, we're going to become the Thieves class. So what's going on with that is just like the other two party members, we're going to beat the story with the thieves. Afterwards, we're going to go seed farming while at the same time leveling up our 4th party member. So once we get enough seeds for everybody for their stat gains, then what we're going ahead and do is switch to our class we want to be. But for now, let's go over the thieves' abilities for the warrior. Now, for the thieves' abilities, here we go for the warrior. Notice for treasure, this level 13 skill can tell you how many treasure chests are in the zone. Very useful for the warrior. So this way, the warrior or someone else can cast a peep spell to see if it's a red box, that means danger. Blue means you open it up. Snoop is a level 20 thieves spell that could show sparkly items on the ground. Very useful for finding mini medals. The Persecutter is a level 29 skill that does normal damage unless your target's asleep or confused. Now, the sage, the martial artist, the thief, and the warrior will all use this if they're put to sleep. If the sage is there putting foes to sleep, and then, of course, it doesn't last next round, they'll put them to sleep again. Then, of course, the rest will use this ability. OP, very powerful, and believe me, I went through the final dungeon in the game and went through the post-game dungeon with ease against the bosses thanks to this combination. Again, for phase 3, try to get the warrior to level 99, so this way they can steal seeds better. Yes, stat seeds will help you out with this build. So that's about it for phase 3. Let's go ahead and do phase 4 and get to the warrior, changing from the thief to the warrior class. Once you're done getting all the stat seeds you need and you have everybody ready to change their classes except for the thief, then of course in phase 4, this is the start of the post-game dungeons. You want to become the warrior. So at this very point, you want to change into the warrior class and level up to level 75 at least. So let's go over the warrior's abilities, shall we? Now, for the warrior's abilities, for the warrior, here we go. Mercurial Thrust, level 9 skill, that always attacks first. Very good early on. Now, Pressure Pointer, this will do is attempt to one-shot foes. Some foes are immune to it, others are not. Now, this is great early on when you're going to farm liquid metal slimes. And, of course, metal slimes before you got the critical claim. Cutting Edge, this is a level 48 skill that does very high damage. So, if you can't put foes to sleep, or you're having issues with it, then use Cutting Edge for the warrior. They'll do a lot of damage with it. And that's about it for the warrior's abilities. Next up is the warrior's gear. It's time to go over the warrior's gear. Rubus' sword. Now you get this from one of Shenlong's wishes. Very good for the warrior class. If not, go for the Conqueror's Axe. That's good as well too if you can equip it. Ogre Shield that is sold at Cloud's Gate Citadel. Very good to have. Heavily Helm. Very nice for the warrior class. Again, that's behind the throne at Cloud's Gate Citadel. Godbird Armor, that is at the, if I remember right, the 4th or 5th trial in the Temple of Trials. Great armor for the warrior, and it regenerates. And as for accessories, equip the Holy Talisman, immune to being killed by death magic and abilities. And anti-freeze earrings is good as well to get. Another one that is great is the fireproof earrings. That's it for the warrior. Next up is the thief. The fourth and last party member is the thief. So we're going to go ahead and start the thief out in post-game, where we're at the seed farming phase of phase 3. So basically, we're leveling up the thief at the same time. We're farming some seeds. Once the thief is definitely leveled up, I should say at the 3rd phase, then of course we'll do the seed farming for everyone. And then at the same time, build the thief's stats to max. Yeah, so basically the thief's going to already start out with max strength and much more stats if you all want to. So the first class we're going to go ahead and do for the thief in post-game is the merchant. And let's go ahead and do it. Oh, one more thing. Enjoy the killing blow against Shenlong. So when we do start up post-game, we're going to create the merchant for the thief. This is going to be the first class we're going to get through. When we get all the skills, you name it. So with this class, we're really building up his resilience and stamina with Tough Cookie. That'll be really good. So we're going to have some good hit points as well, too. So basically, the thief will be in the 4th and final party slot. That'll be number 4 for now, so they'll be well protected. Plus, we'll have some nice items for the thief as well, too, during the merchant class. So let's go over the merchant abilities that helps out with the thief. Here, the merchant abilities once again. Yes, I'm using the same thing just to go over some points. Now, dig, this level 12 ability that finds items you dig up outside the world. Like I said before, some people use it to make money. Otherwise, it's not. Another good one, like I said, is Service Call. This does, it's called a shop that you previously visit, or you need to sell something like you have excess amount of those elevating shoes. That helps priest in case you're in deep doo-doo, which you shouldn't be at this point in the game. And then the inn, of course, which will instantly heal your HP and MP at the cost of 100 gold, which is very nice. Again, that's a good skill. It's very OP on the outside world. Next up is Call to Arms. This will do damage to many foes, which is 50 GP times your current level. It's not going to be useful for now for the thief, but when the thief is level 99, we decided to use that instead of Monster Pylon. You can do a lot of damage. However, this will cost a lot of gold. So that is it for the merchant class. The next class we're going to do is the Gadabout class. The next class on the list to change to is the Gadabout. So we're going to finish up the merchant, which we did. Now we're going to change to the Gadabout class. The main reason behind this, besides getting all the abilities at level 45, is a gateway to the Sage class. Yes, that's right, folks. We're going to abuse that mechanism. So what we'll go ahead and do at this very moment, everyone, is go ahead and, of course, talk about the Gadabout skills and how useful it is for the thief. Here are some of the Gadabout's abilities. I felt like that's good for the thief. Whistle, you'll call monsters to fight you in combat. Great for farming, so if you're farming on Slime Island, that's the way to go. Channel Anger, level 45 skill that can double your magic damage. So if you're no more nuking at the early phase of the grinding, yeah, that's the way to go. Otherwise, there's other skills to help you out in combat. This class can change into a Sage at level 20 without the words of wisdom items. So what we're doing is get to level 45 for the Thief in the Gab Out class, then change into a Sage. So next up is the Sage class. Now for the next class to change the Gab Out into, it is the Sage class. So we already got the over 20 level for the Gab Out to become a Sage. So with the Sage, we're getting all the major spells and all the priest spells. You heard that right. We're basically getting all the magic in the game almost. Except for one, that's for the Thieves class. So let's go over briefly all the Sage spells. I'll give my thoughts about it with the Thief. Here are all the Sage spells. The Sage class gets all Ice, Wind, and Fire magic. That's from the Mage and Priest spells. So if you're more in offensive magic, that's fine. Now, here's the deal. You get most healing spells except for Omni Heal. That is the hero-only exclusive spell, which Omni Heal heals everybody in the party full health. You get all the revive spells, including Kazing, which is a full healing revive, which is nice. You get Snooze, put groups of foes to sleep. Now, this is good usually for the Sage to use that, and then, of course, the Thief will go in, use their 6-time damage ability, which is nice. For some reason, if the Sage is down for the count, then you might have to pick up the slack with the Snooze spell. Puff transforms into a dragon. This is great for farming until everybody gets critical claim, and then that's about it. So we're done with the Sage class. Now, next up on the list is the Martial Artist. Now, next up on the list for the Thief is we're going to change the Thieves class from the Sage to the Martial Artist. You're saying, why is that? Well, here's the deal. The Martial Artist will help you out on many skills, so we're going to go through all 47 levels to get all the Martial Artist skills, because the last one's the most important one to definitely get. I'm going to go over the Martial Artist class at this very time, how it benefits the Thief. Now, here are all the Martial Artist abilities that's useful for the Thief. Hawkeye Claw, this will make you never miss, even if your day is very useful indeed. Now, Multi-Fist, this will attack many foes up to 4 times. If it's one target, they get hit up to 4 times. Critical Claim, this 47 to 48 ability does is it always lands a critical hit. So if you're facing metal slimes or liquid metal slimes, you can one-shot them with ease. Now, this is very useful for the Thief due to the fact that they'll get a critical hit, number 1. Number 2, they get free EXP if they're taking out metal slimes or liquid metal slimes. And believe me, post-game, you have 3 party members with that. You get EXP much faster. And if you get your the Martial Arts class with that while they're grinding, that's 4 party members with critical claim. And you'll level up a lot quicker and a lot faster. That's it for the Thief in the Martial Arts class. Let's talk about the Warrior class next for the Thief. For the next class the Thief will have to change into is the Warrior class. So we finish up the Martial Arts class, got critical claim. Now we become the Warrior class. Now the Warrior class will build up some, I should say, stats that will be helpful for melee combat, which is very nice. And also there's some good abilities that the Warrior class does have as well too. So let's go over the Warrior's abilities that'll help out the Thief big time. Here are all the Warrior's abilities for the Thief class. So Mercurial Thrust, you always attack first with this. Even if your opponents have higher agility than you, very useful if you take out one opponent that's near death, especially a metal slime or liquid metal slime early on. Pressure Pointer, this does is will attempt to take out a foe in one shot. Now, this is before critical claim. You could use this to try to take out a metal slime or a liquid metal slime. If it does, that's free EXP. If not, it happens from time to time that you miss. Another one is Cutting Edge. This is a very high damage ability for the Warrior class. This will be great for the Thief class. For some reason, if A, your foes are immune to magic, or B, if you're having bad luck on the Snooze spell plus the Thief 6-time damage ability. So it's like another backup for doing some DPSing. That's about it for the Warrior class abilities for the Thief. Now, next up is the Monster Wrangler. Now, next up for the Thief, we're going to change from the Warrior class into the Monster Wrangler class. So you see with the Monster Wrangler, you get abilities via leveling up naturally, and also you get abilities from, of course, finding friendly monsters. More friendly monsters you find, more abilities you have. There's one ability that powers up based up on how many friendly monsters you have in total, which is really good. So what we're going to go ahead and do at this time is go over the Monster Wrangler abilities that will benefit the Thief class. Here's the Monster Wrangler's abilities that will benefit the Thief. So Animal Instinct, this level 10 skill will tell you in a zone if there's a friendly monster. More friendly monsters you have, like I said before, more skills you get, which is really useful for the Thief. Monster Pylon. Find 10 friendly monsters in total, you get this skill. This skill will attack foes randomly. Damage is based on how many friendly monsters you have. More friendly monsters you find, more damage you do. I'm going to tell you this right now. I went through Barbarosa's lair from start to finish thanks to Monster Pylon, including the boss fight there. And let me tell you, many foes died in one round, sometimes two, except for the boss. He died about 3 or 4 rounds. So this is very powerful. That's why you want to do the friendly monsters minigame where you find them all, you kick some booty, you go to arena also as well too to have fun with those monsters. Wild Side, the most important ability for the Thief. So you find 50 friendly monsters for this skill. So once you have that, then boom, there you go. That skill's yours to use. Can make you use the same skill twice around. You hear that? Twice around. So, for example, you have Monster Pylon, use that twice. Now, the Thief has that Persecutter ability, which does normal damage. However, when a foe is asleep or confused, then it does 6 times the damage. Now, you equip that with the Falcon Blade. That ability I just mentioned, you use it twice. And then, of course, use it one more time because it's 2 times per round. So you get a total of 4 attacks with the Thief with a Falcon Blade. And let me tell you, you'll wreck everything left and right. Last but not least is Fog of War. Find 100 friendly monsters, which is the cap for the friendly monsters abilities. This ability does is cancel spells for all in battle for 3 rounds. So if there's a caster who likes to cast magic, you pop this sucker and then you go into melee or ability mode to destroy your foes. And that's about it for the Monster Wrangler's abilities that benefit the Thief. The next up is still phase 3. That's when we go ahead and change it to the Thieves class for the Thief. Now, for this phase, it's still in phase 3. However, at this very time, we're about to change the Thief from the Monster Wrangler class into the Thieves class. So, our 4th and final party member will become the main class so quickly, which is the Thief, because we're going to use them also for seed farming as well, too. Yes, in the seed farming phase, what happens is everybody's a Thief at this point. They're farming seeds, so this way they prepare for the post-game dungeon. So this way you make it so easy to do. So here we go on the Thief's abilities that the Thief will definitely abuse and use. Here are the Thief's abilities. Here we go on this. Nose for treasure, level 13 skill that can tell you how many treasures in the zone. Very useful. So this way you could find out how many chests you get to open for loot or avoid in case they're red. Snoop, this level 20 spell will show sparkling items on the ground. Useful for mini mails because you want to definitely collect mini mails because there is a trial you need to get up to 105 mini mails. No, in fact, you have to have 105 mini mails in order to pass a trial. The Persecutter, this does is a level 29 skill that can do normal damage unless your target's asleep or confused and does 6 times the damage. This is OP as heck. Like I did mention, you put the Falcon Blade on your Thief and then you use this while your foe's asleep. They get to attack that total 4 times. So the first 2 times they do a lot of damage, and then the second time they do it again, thanks to Wild Side if you did. Otherwise, it'd just be 2 times damage with this OP ability. At this phase, try to get to level 999 for the Thief, which I did for post game because I stole a lot of stuff. Also made seed farming much more easier. That's about it for the classes for the Thief. I'm going to go over the Thief's final gear. Now, here's the Thief's gear that you should have before you start the last boss of the post-game dungeons. Falcon Blade, this sword does attacks twice per round. Now, if you have Wild Side plus the Thief's ability that does 6 times damage against a sleeping foe, for instance, that's total 4 attacks in 1 round, which is OP. Goddess Shield, this is found either with the Mini Mail collection or definitely the 4th or 5th trial. This will protect you against fire and ice attacks, which is nice. Phantom Mask helps you to dodge more better. Dark Robes helps you to dodge more better. Dark Robes is actually found, if I remember right, in Catlin. Holy Talisman immunity against death attacks and abilities, anti-freeze earrings, protection against freeze. If not, use the anti-fire earrings as well too. That's about it for the Thieves gear. Let's talk about seed farming. In order for this perfect party build to work, you need to do some seed farming. You cannot just level up, change classes again, thinking, oh, I'll get the stats I need. No. At this point in post-game, when you start it, you want to have 4 thieves get to that point and then start farming some seeds. So this way, you get some more desired stats you want to boost up. Now, for seed farming, go for definitely strength and agility first. Those are first 2. Go for luck if you want to as number 3. Stamina resilience is good as well. Now, if you get some hit points, stat seeds farming, then that's fine as well too. Wisdom is all right to do. MP you could do if you want to, but you have a lot of MP with this build. But if you go for it, then farm it. Yes, stat seed farming is the way to go. It'll help you build out. You do more damage. You're more quicker in combat, and other things will benefit you as well too. Now, next up is the Temple of Trials, Trial 4 and 5. I'll go over that with this perfect party. So, you're all wondering if you can survive Trial 4 and 5 in the Temple of Trials. Absolutely, you have to do some thinking on this. I'll help you out. This build, like I said before, will work on that. However, one party member will always get the debuff. So, for Trial 4, which is axes and staves only, the warrior, the martial arts, and the sage can survive. In other words, they'd be able to equip those items, no debuff. The thief, on the other hand, they have to be support. So, thus, that's why we have the sage class for the thief. So this way, they get to put foes to sleep. And then, of course, the sage can attack as well, sleeping foes. Now, for Trial 5, claws and boomerangs, the warrior, the martial arts, and the thief can survive. The sage is on support. Yeah, your sage was always on support. Now, if you want to take the wimp claws, then, of course, get over level 75, use Padfoot with Holy Water, and go through each of those trials. But if you want to fight them, those are my suggestions there. That's it for the Temple of Trials. Next up is the Persecutter and how it benefits you. Let's talk about Persecutter and how to abuse the living crap out of it. New to Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, this ability can break the game if you know how to use it. Definition, once again, for Persecutter is does damage unless foes are asleep or confused, and it does 6 times the damage. So instead of normal damage, 6 times, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my setup, what I do for each round against bosses from Soma Citadel and the 2 post-game dungeons. Round 1, I cast Wild Sight, so everybody attacks 2 times per round. Now, if I have the Thief in the party, they'll have, of course, the Falcon Blade, so any attacks they do that's not spells, that'll be total 4 times. As for Sage with magic, it'll be 4 times thanks to the Duplistic Hat. Now, round 2, the Sage casts Snooze on the boss. Because Duplistic Hat, they cast it 4 times. They get 4 tries. As long as the foes are not immune to magic. If they're immune to magic, everybody's going to do, what I should say, Monster Wrangler's ability, Monster Pylon. But if they're asleep or so, the rest does Persecutter. If not, it's normal damage. But still, if they're asleep, then they do 6 times the damage. That 6 times can help you out big time. Round 3, if the foe's still asleep, the Sage switch to using the Persecutter ability along with the rest to finish off the boss or severely weaken it. If not, repeat round 2 with the Sage. Now, if the fight's still going on, there's one boss that has tons of hit points, then of course rebuff with Wild Sight if need be. Just remember these things I do, and you'll definitely get the W with ease. Now, next up is the phases. I decided to do the written version, so this way you know what to do throughout the game. Here we go. This section's for people who just want the written version, not the really detailed version, even though the detailed version tells you what abilities I suggested and more. So here we go with the phases once again. When you start out, you have a hero, then create for the Sage, the martial arts. For the martial arts, create the priest. For the warrior, create the mage. Now, you'll be going through most of the story like this until you get the bird. So let's talk about phase 2, which is the bird. Now, for phase 2, you just got the bird. You could go anywhere on Slime Plateau. And at this point, you're ready to face off against Barmos in his lair. So at this point, you still have the hero for the Sage. They, of course, Go from the martial artist to the gadabout, to the sage, to the warrior, to the merchant, to the monster wrangler, and that's it. For the martial artist, they go from priest to mage, to merchant, to warrior, to gadabout, to monster wrangler. Now, for the warrior, same thing. They go from mage to priest, to merchant, to martial artist, to gadabout, to monster wrangler. So basically, at this point in the game, yeah, that's where you want to be. Everybody who's not the hero is a monster wrangler in this version of Dragon Quest III, and you're ready to kick some serious booty. Now, let's talk about Phase 3, Part 1. Now, for Phase 3, Part 1, this is the final dungeon of the story, basically. So, you still have the hero at this point. Last time to have the hero in your party. The sage goes from monster wrangler to thief. So I write the whole thing again to help you all out. The martial arts go from monster wrangler to thief. And the warrior goes from monster wrangler to thief. So basically, you're setting yourself up for seed farming. At this point, before you enter the final dungeon, when you're all thieves, make sure you get the Persecutter ability and get all the thieves' abilities as well, too. Now, let's talk about Phase 3, Part 2, seed farming. Now, for Phase 3, Part 2, after you've beaten the game, you're at post-game seed farming. Kick the hero out for the 4th party member. Now, 1, 2, and 3 are still the same. They're still thieves. This is part of the plan. Now, for the thief, they start out as merchant. Then they become gadabouts. To the sage for all the spells. To the martial arts for clerical claim. That's all the abilities. To the warrior for cutting edge for all their abilities. To the monster wrangler for all the abilities that they do get. They'll get the monster-friendly ones right away when they level up for the first time or win a battle. And last but not least, they become the thieves. So at this point, you're building up your thief stats to the max. So that's it for them. The class change. Also, you're getting seeds for everybody else too. So once you're done with the seed farming, make sure you have at least 100 to 150 strength, agility, or any of the important stats you want to get for your characters when you class change. Now, when you class change, usually your stats are cut in half, except for one key thing. That is, if you use all the seeds up, they'll count for the character still. It'll carry over, so the blow won't be that bad. So let's go ahead and talk about Phase 4. That's the post-game dungeon team. So here is your final team in written form. Now, here's the deal about Phase 4. This is your permanent team. So at this point, when they're in their last class, then you should start leveling up until level 75. Once they're all at level 75 with the proper stats you want maxed out, then you're ready to do some post-game dungeon clearing. Now, the sage, they go from the thief, as you see here, to the sage. That's their permanent class, the sage. For the martial artist, they go from thief to the martial artist. For the warrior, they go from the thief to the warrior. And last but not least, of course, is the thief. You still are the thief at this point. I have the other classes listed there, so this way you see how the path goes from start to finish. Now, that's about it for the phases in written form. Now, next up is tweaking this build to work for the other versions of Dragon Quest III. So let's go over the NES version of Dragon Quest III, Dragon Warrior 3. Here we go. Phase 1 starting out. You create your hero, obviously. No personalities at all. So that's good news on that. So your second character, the sage, is actually the martial artist starting out. Your martial artist is the priest starting out. And the warrior is the mage starting out. This is great until you get the bird. So let's talk about Phase 2. Now, for Dragon Quest III, Dragon Warrior 3 NES version Phase 2, this is the bird to end the story, so this is your final party. Number 1 is your hero, obviously. For the sage, it's martial artist at level 30, then go to warrior at level 30, then go to merchant at level 20. To get about level 20 to become a sage, so we have one sage there for the sage. Now, the martial artist will not be a martial artist for this, so here we go. That's a priest. You start out with at 40, then you go to mage. At 40 to get all the spells, to merchant, 20 to warrior, 30 to get about 20 to become a sage. So you're going to have 2 sages in this. And yeah, magic can help you out in this version of Dragon Quest 3. Now, the warrior, that's the mage to 40, to priest to 40, to merchant to 40, to martial artist to 30, and to the warrior. And that's about it. This party will carry you through the entire game of the NES version. So next up will be the Game Boy Color, NES, PS4 Japan, Nintendo Switch, and mobile versions. Now, for any of the other versions of Dragon Quest III, it starts out the same as the other versions as well I talked about. You have your hero, the sage becomes a martial artist, the martial artist becomes a priest, the warrior becomes a mage. So let's go ahead and talk about Phase 2. Now, things will be different. Now, for Phase 2, when you just get the bird, you're ready to face off against Barmos, there'll be some class changes. The hero's still the same no matter what. For the sage, they go from martial artist at level 30 to the warrior at level 30. Then after that, to the merchant at 20, to the gadabout at 20. So this way they become a sage. So yeah, they'll be a sage. This will be different than the other one due to the fact that there's no monster wrangler in the other versions. Now, for the martial artists, they become a priest at 40. Then the mage at 40, they get all the spells. To merchant at 20, to warrior at 30, to gadabout at 20, to sage. Yeah, we're going to have 2 sages in this, I should say, setup. Because, yeah, the other versions, there's no monster wrangler at all. Now for the warrior, they come mage at 40, to a priest at 40, merchant to 20, and martial artist to 30, to gadabout to 20, to a sage. So you're going to have a lot of sages in this. It'll help you out great. So that's about it for Phase 2. Let's go over Phase 3. Now for the other versions of Dragon Quest 3, you still have the hero for one last time in the final story dungeon. Now the sage, they'll go from the sage to the thief. For the martial artist, they go from the sage to the thief. For the warrior, they go to the sage to the thief. So we're going to start the seed farming a little bit early, and we're setting ourselves up for the seed farming phase once we've beaten the game. Now we're at post game, so here we go. Everything's still the same for 1, 2, and 3. We kicked out the hero of the party to add the 4th party member. For the thief, you start out as a merchant for level 20, then gadabout at 20, to stage to 40 to get all the spells, to martial artist at 30, to warrior at 30, to a thief. That'll be their final class, is the thief. Now, for the other versions of Dragon Quest 3, that is the NES, mobile, Game Boy Color, PlayStation 4 Japan, Nintendo Switch. Here we go for the final party. Now, for the sage, they go from thief to sage, and then that's it. You don't have to use the words of wisdom for that. Now, for the martial artist, they go from thief to martial artist. For the warrior, they go from thief to warrior. And number 4, the thief is still the thief. Yeah, in fact, they'll be like at level 99 or something like that. That's about it for the other versions of Dragon Quest 3. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give some final advice before I go. Here's some final advice before I do end this build video. You're going to start out real slow in Phase 1 due to the fact you're going through most of the game, leveling up, going through the story until you get the bird. Once you get the bird, then you can fly to Slime Plateau, do some leveling up with liquid metal slimes and metal slimes. So this way you do some damage. Now, once you do get to the Phase 3, which is towards the end of the story, you're going to start to have thieves in your party. That DPS will be really soaring up there, as you see before you. Other than that, though, just level up your characters, build them up, do some serious stat seed farming, and you got this. This is it for the perfect party build for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake video guide. This is Lord Fenton signing off. Thanks for watching and have a great day or night. Do please stay safe. Please subscribe to my channel for more Dragon Quest series content just like this. If you like what you see, then pick my suggestion on the upper left hand corner or YouTube suggestion on the bottom left hand corner. Enjoy the battle, everyone.